Okay, guys, we are on chapter 68. Dear TikTok and everyone who knows about the Samoan cousin stereotype because of that Kiunga and Chloe thing. Ew. My story is similar in terms of the stereotype. So last year I was in New Zealand for a couple of months and I was staying with my relatives who I was close with. But there was also this girl who I'd never met, but she seemed to have a thing for me on my first day there. As I'm walking through the door and saying hi to everyone, I saw her give me a fear mare look as she came in to hug me and greet me. In my head, I'm thinking it's going to be a long holiday because she was fob, but not too fob, but smiled and laughed it off and continued on with my holiday. I really don't want to read the rest of this. A couple of days later, we were in the room and she was showing me things in her gallery and came across a video of her twerking. And out of shock, I asked her to go back and show me. The video wasn't all that, but it had me thinking about all the bad things with her. Stop! After a while of going back and forth about the video and jokingly flirting, we make our way to our own beds and we start messaging on Insta. We started talking about what we wanted to do to each other, and it was kind of funny to me because her English wasn't all the best, but again, it wasn't horrible. So while laughing, I continued to message her about what we were talking about until we sent pictures and videos to each other as we were only one room away. A couple of nights later, I would sneak into her room or she would sneak into mine and we would continue to exchange turns in giving the bad things via the mouth. About a week after that, I was sleeping one night and woke up to her on the phone with someone. I had fallen asleep in the living room and she was in the kitchen, which wasn't very far, and she didn't know I was awake. So I turned on my nosy ears and heard her conversation with the person. I heard they were mentioning names that I was a bit too familiar with. So being the eavesdropper that I am, I listened closely and heard them talking about doing the bad things with each other. And he also asked her to take her phone into the shower. As I'm sitting here listening to their conversation, I finally figured out who it was. It was my nephew who lived in New Zealand as well, but I can't say the area because somebody will know who and what I'm talking about. This nephew of mine is younger than the both of us. When I say younger, I mean 5 years younger, and he's not even legal yet. And here this grown-ass woman is messing around with little moi bees who happen to be related to her. A few weeks have gone by and me and the girl have went out by ourselves and acted as real cousins, knowing what we were going to do once we got in the car and went somewhere no one would find out. At least that's what I thought. We were in the car doing the deed when someone parked up next to us. Can we just rewind back to when you just said that you guys were acting like cousins? I'm guessing they saw the car shaking and heard noises. Can you give a demonstration about the noises? The parked car looked too familiar and I pushed her off me, cracking the windshield of my uncle's car and jumped in the front seat while pulling my ufuai up. And as I looked to my left, I saw the bishop of the ward. He stared at me in disbelief. Oh my gosh, you're Mormon! I cannot believe. We got out of the car and had a talk. After what happened, we made our way home, and as I was driving, I had to put the music up to the max to drown out the embarrassment and guilt I felt. There's just something about a Samoan dad lecturing you and hitting you where it hurts. It does something to you and makes you want to rethink your whole life. Wow, it's a bit dramatic. Weeks later and coming to the end of my trip, me and the girl never did it again, but would always have time alone and would only talk because of what happened. We were scared it would happen again, so we never did it after that. And to this day, we cut each other off and I'm living my life. FYI, she was my cousin by marriage and we aren't related by blood at all. But that's still just as bad, but thought I'd put it out there because at least it's better than doing it with someone that has the same last name as you. Well, keep your enemies close, but your cousins closer. Next one. I went away for a sports trip and had a boyfriend at the time. But there was this hot ass boy, we'll call him Sole, and I was interested. Anyways, he walked past my room and I quickly opened my door and was like, my mate thinks you're cute and she's single. But I was doing that for myself. I noticed a lot of the other girls in the team thought the same as I did. And they went to his room and wrote their Instagrams down on a piece of paper and slid it under his door. What? Slid it under his door? You've got to be a moims. Fast forward 2 days later, me and my cousin knocked on his door as we were all getting ready for our combined dinner. He let us in. We talked, then my cousin left and I was like, what's your snap? And he gave it to me. Later that night, he told me to go to his room and we did the bad things. Another girl from my team found out. Let's call her Snitch. And she wasn't happy about it. I spent about 3 hours in his room. We continued to do the bad things for the rest of the trip, and my boyfriend, on the other hand, found out the day after I did the bad things with Sole, and he messaged me saying, I think we need to talk. I fully gaslighted him while I was with Sole. Let me tell you, my heart dropped to my muli the minute my boyfriend messaged me. Well, it's not like that was the only thing that dropped now, was it? My little brother ended up getting involved as his girlfriend's sister was also in my team. My brother was trying to convince my boyfriend to leave me, and whenever it took me longer than 30 minutes to message my boyfriend, he would spam call me. Spam text on every social media platform. We went to the last day of the tournament and the coaches found out what I was doing with Sole because Snitch had told the whole team. So I had no choice but to tell my boyfriend the truth, and of course he ended it. But eventually we ended up getting back together. I don't know why he took me back because my excuse was I was bored. And to this day, me and Sole still talk. It sounds like you don't want peace, you want problems.